My sister, Ellie, gifted my son, John, a DNA test kit for Christmas with the intention of stirring doubt about his paternity. My husband, David, and I met in our late 17 and married after 3 years of engineer training. We built a life filled with love, trust, and joy, welcoming John into our world, who brought immense happiness to our family. Our relationship with Ellie had always been strained. From passive-aggressive comments to outright accusations, she seemed determined to create discord. At her wedding, despite following her dress code, she accused me of trying to overshadow her, escalating tensions. This behavior continued, with Ellie often downplaying John's achievements in comparison to her son, Hudson. Despite the negativity, David and I focused on maintaining peace, especially for the cousins to grow up close. However, Ellie's actions escalated when she gave John the DNA kit. Though John was intrigued by the science, Ellie's smug demeanor suggested ulterior motives. David later shared that Ellie had hinted at revealing some truth about John, exploiting the fact that John's green eyes were different from ours to insinuate David might not be his father. Despite the shock, David and I stood firm, trusting our bond and refusing to let Ellie's manipulation affect us. We let John take the test, committed to handling whatever results it might show. However, a twist of fate revealed that Ellie's own children, including Hudson, were not biologically related to her husband. This discovery shifted the dynamics, turning the tables on Ellie's malicious plot and highlighting the unexpected outcomes that can arise from such divisive actions. In the end, our family's strength and unity prevailed, reinforcing that truth and love could withstand even the most malicious attempts to undermine them. David was confident that a DNA test would merely confirm what they already believed, that John was undoubtedly their son, and nothing could alter that fact. John, oblivious to the underlying stress his parents felt, was thrilled by the scientific aspects of the DNA test. He was eager to uncover his genetic history and explore his ancestral roots, so they supported him in sending off his sample. Meanwhile, Ellie's son Hudson, a curious 12-year-old, observed the whole process with keen interest. Prompted by his curiosity and his father William's suggestion of making it a fun family project, they also decided to get a DNA test for him. What began as a simple curiosity soon escalated into a dramatic family crisis. John's results arrived, confirming David as his father, aligning with their expectations. However, the family was blindsided when Hudson's results revealed that William was not his biological father. The truth exposed Ellie's long-concealed affair from over a decade ago, showing that Hudson was not William's biological son. The revelation devastated William, who had lovingly raised Hudson as his own, never suspecting Ellie's betrayal. In his distress, William demanded a paternity test for their younger daughter, only to discover he wasn't her father either. Ellie's carefully constructed image of a perfect life began to crumble publicly, revealing her infidelity and shattering her family's peace. The fallout was swift and severe. Within days, William filed for divorce and moved out. Ellie's world, once secure and controlled, was now in ruins. Ironically, her efforts to undermine my marriage had only led to the exposure of her own deceit. Hudson suffered the most, transitioning overnight from a carefree, happy teenager to a bewildered and heartbroken young man. The father he had known and loved his entire life was not his biological parent, and his family structure was disintegrating. John, too, was deeply affected. Close to Hudson, he felt troubled by his cousin's pain and began asking questions about why Hudson's dad was no longer around, which was heartbreaking to witness. As time passed, William pursued full custody of the children, determined to shield them from Ellie's influence. Once the controlling pillar of the family, Ellie now appeared as a mere shadow of her former self at family gatherings, nervous, pale, and tear-streaked. In a surprising turn of events, Ellie reached out to me. Her voice was shaky and filled with tears as she pleaded for help. She asked me to speak with William to soften his stance on the custody arrangements. Despite everything, she was desperate to maintain some connection with her children and was now seeking advice from me, the very person she had once tried so hard to bring down. I was completely shocked by her behavior. After all the trouble she had caused, trying to sabotage my marriage and creating chaos whenever possible, she still had the nerve to ask for my assistance. At first, I ignored her calls, reluctant to even consider the idea of helping her. However, as time passed, my thoughts kept returning to Hudson. He was an innocent bystander in all of this. None of it was his fault, yet he was the one who was suffering the most. John was also affected, struggling to grasp why his cousin's life was in such turmoil. I found myself torn. Ellie's actions were inexcusable, but were her children to blame as well? Should I really let my anger towards her affect them? David insisted I stay out of it. He firmly believed Ellie needed to face the consequences of her actions alone. Yet, something inside me couldn't ignore the fact that perhaps I could help ease some of the pain for the kids. They weren't responsible for their mother's poor decisions. Now, I found myself at a crossroads, unsure of the right path to take. Should I extend help to Ellie for the sake of her children, or should I distance myself from someone who had caused so much distress? It's a tough decision to make, and here I am, struggling between doing what seems right for the kids and maintaining my distance from a person who has brought so much turmoil into our lives. Here's what's been happening since I last shared. Ellie hasn't stopped reaching out. Honestly, it's getting overwhelming. Despite hoping she might ease off, she continues to be relentless. There was a particularly intense day when she called 4 times, leaving long, tearful voicemails. I could hear her desperation, but it was hard to feel much sympathy after everything. My husband, David, reached his limit one day. It's rare for him to lose his temper, but he ended up calling her back. I could hear the anger in his voice from across the room as he confronted her, telling her he was done with her disrespect and manipulation. He wanted to make it clear that it wasn't just about one incident. It was about years of underhanded remarks, manipulative behavior, and a total disregard for our boundaries. Ellie's reaction was heartbreaking. She broke down, accusing me of turning David against her and her family. Hearing her sob was conflicting. Part of me felt a hint of sympathy, but mostly, I was just exhausted. After that call, the dynamic changed again, and navigating the situation has only become more complicated. She kept messaging me, oscillating between pleading for my help and accusing me of plotting against her. One moment, she'd desperately say she needed me to mediate with William to mend things, and the next, she'd label me as manipulative, accusing me of being envious of her family life and wanting to dismantle her marriage. It was perplexing. I felt either vilified or venerated by her, with no in-between. Frankly, it's been draining to handle her emotional swings. It's like being trapped on an unwanted roller coaster ride. Throughout this ordeal, my primary worry has been about the children, who are truly blameless yet deeply impacted. My heart particularly goes out to Hudson and John. The shocking truth about Hudson's real father has shaken him profoundly, and it's evident he's struggling to come to terms with it. It's painful to watch him suffer and feel powerless to ease his confusion. John, though younger and less aware of the full scope of the situation, senses that something is amiss. At a recent family get-together, John eagerly anticipated playing with Hudson, hoping for the camaraderie they once shared. Sadly, Hudson was noticeably withdrawn and disengaged, leaving John puzzled and hurt. He kept wondering why Hudson wasn't his usual playful self. I couldn't bring myself to explain the real reason, so I brushed it off, saying Hudson was just tired or had a lot on his mind, though I knew it was much more than that. Meanwhile, Ellie's messages have become increasingly dramatic. Just yesterday, she texted, accusing our family of betrayal. I was tempted to confront her. How could she feel betrayed when it was her decisions that sparked this chaos? Yet, she persists in blaming everyone else, me, David, William, never acknowledging her own role in these issues. David and I have spent countless nights discussing how to best support the kids amidst this turmoil. While David thinks we should intervene for Hudson's sake, especially given his closeness to John, he's also cautious about the repercussions of delving too deeply into Ellie's troubles. We've been striving to balance our support for the children with maintaining our own peace, but it's becoming increasingly challenging. To complicate matters, William has been contacting David, seeking clarity and understanding. After meeting William for coffee, David returned looking even more conflicted than before. William is understandably shattered. He confided in David that he feels his entire life has been upended, and now he's grappling with how to co-parent with Ellie in the aftermath of their personal upheaval. Having these conversations with William really brought out the complexities of the situation for David. William is undoubtedly a decent man caught in an exceedingly tough situation, doing his utmost to provide for his children amidst the turmoil. The more David learned from William, the more conflicted he became about the best way forward. Although David is eager to help, he is well aware that getting too involved could inadvertently pull them deeper into the complications surrounding Ellie. Every interaction with Hudson intensifies the desire to help. This young boy, innocently entangled in the chaos, doesn't deserve any part of it. John often questions why Hudson appears so melancholy, and it's heart-wrenching for David to remain unable to provide a straightforward answer. The dilemma deepens as David grapples with the impulse to intervene against the backdrop of potentially getting drawn into the vortex of Ellie's disarray. Ultimately, the protection of the children is David's paramount concern. Both Hudson and John are innocent and shouldn't have to bear the brunt of their parents' lapses. Witnessing their distress is agonizing, and David is torn between the desire to act and the fear of the repercussions. The path forward is unclear, but the hope is to navigate this situation with minimal additional distress. Ellie, dissatisfied with a non-conclusive at-home DNA test, opted for a formal medical paternity test. Despite the inherent inaccuracies of home kits, Ellie held onto a sliver of hope. However, the medical test results mirrored those of the initial test, confirming William is not the father of either child, which only deepened Ellie's predicament. Although the outcome was anticipated, it was still a painful confirmation for everyone, especially William, who had braced for the worst yet harbored a faint hope of a different outcome. After absorbing the blow, William became increasingly reclusive. A further twist occurred when he decided to investigate and confront a former coworker of Ellie's, whom he suspected of having an affair with her years ago. William's long-standing suspicions about their unusually close relationship, marked by shared work events and late-night texts, were always dismissed by Ellie as mere professional interactions. With his suspicions seemingly validated, William confronted the man at his home, driven by a tumult of emotions. William was deeply wounded, overwhelmed with anger, and desperate for answers when things escalated rapidly. Initially, the other man denied everything, which only fueled William's frustration, leading to a loud argument that quickly turned physical. The noise caught the attention of neighbors who called the police. By the time the officers arrived, both William and the man were visibly injured. The altercation resulted in William being arrested and charged with assault, plunging him into serious legal troubles. David stepped in to assist, heading to the police station and posting bail for William. However, William now faces daunting legal battles, claiming the altercation was provoked, a difficult point to prove in court. The situation seems to spiral further out of control, rooted deeply in Ellie's years-long concealment of the truth. It's painful to watch William, once so composed, unravel so dramatically. Meanwhile, Ellie is frantically trying to manage the fallout, but to little avail. William has responded by filing for full custody of their children, citing the affair, the paternity results, and the recent fight as evidence of Ellie's unfitness as a mother. In desperation, Ellie portrays William as dangerously unstable, fearing she might lose her children. The conflict between Ellie and William worsens daily. William is enraged by Ellie's deceit, while Ellie desperately tries to cling to any control over her unraveling life. The toll on both of them is evident, but my concern lies heavily with their children, Hudson and their daughter. William has considered moving out of state for a fresh start, which could further complicate the children's lives. Ellie's emotional volatility is exhausting. She swings between seeking support and accusing me of conspiring against her, making it difficult to maintain sympathy for her. Despite her clear downward spiral, her inability to accept responsibility for her actions complicates any attempt to help her. At this point, involvement seems inevitable. David and I are leaning towards supporting William through his legal challenges, viewing him as the more stable parent. Yet, the potential impact on Hudson and his sister, caught in a battle they never chose, is deeply concerning. Hudson's recent withdrawal and confusion are heartbreaking, especially when considering the significant revelations about his family. This situation, complex and fraught with emotional turmoil, demands careful navigation to support those most vulnerable, the children. I'm finding it challenging to find a way to communicate this to him in terms he can understand. The situation has been spiraling out of control, and each day seems to bring a new challenge that only adds to the chaos. We're doing our best to handle things day by day, holding on to hope and praying for the best. However, it's becoming increasingly difficult to remain optimistic with so much uncertainty looming over us. Reflecting on everything regarding William and the man Ellie had an affair with, you might recall the altercation that led to William's arrest. While it initially looked like William might face serious charges, the other man chose not to press charges. He seems to have wanted to distance himself from the entire ordeal, recognizing that any further involvement could only worsen his personal and professional situation. He's cut ties with both William and Ellie, effectively closing that tumultuous chapter. Now, about the kids, this has been the most emotionally taxing part. William initially sought full custody, which alarmed Ellie. However, after some deep conversations and reflection, William had a realization. Regardless of what the paternity tests might reveal, Hudson and his sister are his children. He's been their father from the start, providing love, guidance, and support. This bond goes beyond DNA. William explained to us that his pursuit of custody is no longer driven by anger or revenge, but by a desire to protect the kids from the turmoil Ellie has caused. He's been remarkable throughout this ordeal, clearly demonstrating his love and commitment to his children. He's made it a point to ensure they know that, regardless of what happens between him and Ellie, they are his children, loved unconditionally. William handled the situation with incredible sensitivity. He spoke to the kids in an age-appropriate manner, careful not to overwhelm them but ensuring they understood the changes happening around them. He reassured them that they were not to blame for any of this. Hudson, in particular, has found this reassurance comforting, though he's still trying to come to terms with everything. Meanwhile, Ellie has been struggling significantly, still in a state of panic and failing to address the children's emotional needs effectively. Ellie has been caught up in managing her public image and addressing the issues she created, while William has taken on the role of primary caregiver. He has been actively involved in their children's lives, attending school events, and managing their healthcare needs. This contrast in priorities has been difficult to observe, as Ellie appears more focused on external perceptions than the internal dynamics of her family. Amidst their ongoing custody battle, William has shifted his stance to seek joint custody, recognizing the importance of the children maintaining a relationship with their mother despite the challenges. Although William initially aimed for full custody due to his stability, he now seeks primary custody to ensure the children have the security and normalcy they've been missing. The court seems to favor William, noting his role in providing stability and his evident dedication. Meanwhile, Ellie's actions have not aided her case. She portrays herself as a victim and tries to undermine William by highlighting his past emotional reactions, which clearly stemmed from his hurt. As for their marriage, it is irretrievably broken, and the divorce is proceeding. William has reached a place of acceptance, no longer harboring anger towards Ellie but feeling a profound sadness over what was lost and the impact on their children. His focus now is firmly on the future and being the best father possible. Through this ordeal, David and I have remained supportive, trying to keep a healthy distance from the conflict while ensuring that Hudson, along with his brother John, maintains a sense of normalcy and connection, which seems to be a positive influence during these unstable times. One key lesson from this situation is the remarkable resilience of children when enveloped in love. William's steadfast love and dedication have been crucial anchors for the children. I am also immensely grateful for the support from friends and family. Your advice and encouragement have been invaluable during this overwhelming time. As things continue to evolve, I am hopeful that we are moving past the hardest part, with the children still enveloped in love, which is ultimately what matters most. Thank you all for your continued support as we hope for a future of healing and peace.